Russia and Iran have agreed on a historic treaty for comprehensive strategic partnership, which will define our relations for a decade. Will Iran replace Germany for us? What joint projects are we already implementing, and which ones are we preparing for? What do Yemeni Houthis and Russian railways have to do with this? We'll talk about this as well as about the new hero, as usual, after a brief summary of positive news. The first batch of new Russian TM-140 tracked all-terrain vehicles has been sent to the rescuers. The third dredger of the FPD-G3 project has been laid down in the Astrakhan region. A branch of the Nakhimov Naval School of the Russian Ministry of Defense has been opened in Mariupol, and a year-round youth educational center called Mayak has been opened in Berdyansk, Zaporizhzhia region. A production facility with the largest domestically produced hot isostatic press in the country has been opened at the United Engine Corporation Ufa Motor Building Production Association plant in Ufa to increase the production of PD-8 and PD-14 engines. A pipe rolling plant has been opened in Novotroitsk. In Tver, a production facility for traction batteries for metro rolling stock in the Moscow region, a finishing materials plant in Tatarstan, a polyvinyl chloride profile plant in the Chelyabinsk region, a breeding and seed production complex, and in the Leningrad region, a robotic dairy farm. Russian school children won 6 medals at the International Mathematical Olympiad. This week, it became known that Russia and Iran have finally agreed on all the provisions of the historic treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership, which will open up new opportunities for our cooperation. Finally, because the work went on nonstop for 2.5 years, but now it is officially completed and the document will be signed soon. Its specific provisions have not been disclosed yet, however, some things are known. The agreement will remove many obstacles in mutual trade. Its volume is quite modest at the moment, but there is room for growth. In addition to tariff and tax relations, the agreement provides for the convergence of financial systems. It is known that by the end of August, foreigners in Iran will be able to use MIR cards, and Iranian SHITAP system bank cards will be usable at all ATMs in Russia. A separate intriguing topic is military technical cooperation. It is quite likely that, in addition to increasing arms trade, the agreement also includes obligations to provide mutual assistance in the event of aggression against one of the participants. The document, we will find out about it soon. Let me remind you that it was recently revealed about a similar agreement between Russia and North Korea, according to which our countries are obliged to come to each other's aid in the event of an attack by a third party. Such assistance does not necessarily mean direct involvement in a military conflict, but may imply a wide range of measures, from supplying weapons to sending instructors, volunteers, and so on. Which is quite natural, because if our partnership involves large mutual investments and projects, we need to protect them. So what kind of projects are these? The cargo turnover of the Olya and Astrakhan seaports increased by 50% in the first half of the year. This is a direct result of the development of the project we told you about, the North-South International Transport Corridor, which connects Russia through the Caspian region with Iran, the Persian Gulf countries, and India, bypassing the Suez Canal. 14 countries are now participating in it. A week ago, an agreement was signed to develop the eastern route within its framework through the territories of Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Iran. The north-south route is twice as short as the Suez route. And importantly, no one is hunting your cargo ships or tankers along this route. Gradually, without much noise, the route itself is expanding and being supplemented with new sections. Recently, a section of the Caspian Railway was opened there in the presence of officials from Iran and Russia. A total of 162 kilometers of new track will be built with Russia's help, which will significantly increase the capacity of the route And here's what's especially interesting. At the end of June, our countries signed a memorandum of understanding on the supply of Russian gas to Iran. Yes, Iran has one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world, but it currently lacks the resources and capacity to develop the fields or to create a unified energy system. That's why the north, where Tehran is located in a mountainous area with a harsh climate, experiences energy shortages, especially in winter. Or now, when just like the south of Russia, it is suffering from record heat. The signed document provides for the supply of 109 billion cubic meters of our gas to Iran per year. And that's almost as much as we used to supply to Europe through the two branches of Nord Stream. Iran will consume part of the gas itself and supply the rest to other countries. And here comes the project of a new Persian energy hub, which in the future could lead to the interconnection of gas transportation systems among the Caspian and Central Asian countries. For us, this is good because we will expand our energy exports, reduce our dependence on the Turkish hub, and compensate for losses in Europe. But besides energy and infrastructure, we also have other projects, for example, in the field of space cooperation. In February, we launched the Iranian satellite PARS-1 into orbit, and in October, we plan to send 2 more into space. It is also known that recently Iran ordered Mi-8 family search and rescue helicopters from us for 20 billion rubles. The exchange of military equipment is classified, but it's obvious that its volume is also increasing. As you can see, we really do have something to protect, and it would be naive to assume that no one will try to throw a wrench into this plan. The most likely next president of the United States, Donald Trump, openly states that America's main enemies are China and Iran. That means the pressure on them will only increase if he is elected, as if preparing for this. Last week, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that if it wanted to, Iran could obtain materials to make nuclear weapons within a couple of weeks, and that the United States will not allow this. Where to get them, or exactly how, is not specified. But the topic of technology proliferation in the context of hybrid warfare is indeed becoming more and more interesting. So at the end of last year, North Korea successfully launched its first reconnaissance satellite. Hostile voices claimed that it was done with the direct involvement of Russian specialists. Iran has suddenly built and will open the Chabahar Space Center at the end of this year, which will become the largest spacecraft launch site in Western Asia. The Yemeni Houthis, under total blockade and sanctions, have somehow managed to establish and expand the production of fairly modern missiles and drones. There is a suggestion that this is just the beginning. By the way, speaking of the Houthis, their personal sanctions against shipping in the Red Sea have led to a 30% increase in demand for rail freight transportation through Russia this year. Again, because it is safe and guaranteed. And the entire coalition of NATO countries, along with Israel joining them, can't do anything about poor Yemen, which is crushed by sanctions and blockade and suffering from an ongoing internal conflict. Who knows, maybe one day we'll also sign our own comprehensive strategic partnership agreement with this country. One thing is clear, the world is changing very quickly, and a completely new game is taking shape on the map, in which Russia is playing a leading role.